What's good, Aces? Welcome back to the channel, y'all. So, nobody wins when the family feuds. I have never, in all my years of watching the Braxtons on TV, I've never seen Tony, get so upset. So basically, and I'm sure you guys have seen the clips on social media, but this is a preview from WeTV of the Braxtons and their upcoming season. And Ashley Braxton, who's the daughter of Michael, the brother of the ladies, she came out and she made some social media posts in regards to one of her aunt's husband who made some inappropriate texts to her when she was 16 years old. And I actually did some older videos about it if you guys want to go check those out for more context. But basically, Tamar is inviting her niece, Ashley, to be on her podcast. And Tamar also says that, she received cease and desist letters. And so Trina is saying, you guys go ahead and kind of keep me out of it because I didn't send Tamar a cease and desist letter. Now, Tamar doesn't say specifically in this clip that I'm about to play for you guys who sent the letter, but she starts going at Tony, which, just a side note, I feel like Tamar, even more than usual, has just been like windmilling for her life. This girl has been into it with everybody recently. I mean, from her going on Nini's YouTube channel, her show, calling Lonnie Love Big Back Cadillac, to just recently her whole situation with Funky Dineva. I mean, it's just like one person after another, and now she's going after her big sister Tony. And the Braxtons, even before this show, right? They did Braxton Family Values for a few years, and she even had her spinoff show with Vince. And I'm just like, Tamar has gotten into it with everybody. And I do mean like everybody. Like, her past relationships, she's divorced from Vince, which from Word on the Curb, he was like biting her and he was just that the whole situation was toxic. But also, she's not with David anymore, the African guy. She's not with JR anymore, the white dude that was messing around with I think Tommy from uh, Love and Hip Hop. Um, but I don't know. I'm more worried about Tamar now than I have been ever before, which is really saying something. Because Tamar's always been, very loud and very animated. But for some reason, she just seems to be almost like spiraling these past few years, especially within these past few months. She got into it with like Candy and Todd, Kay Michelle. I can't even keep up with all the people that Tamar has gotten into it with. She was almost came to blows with, Tracy before she passed. Rest in peace, Tracy. But Tony's always been the one, she's the oldest out of the group and of course the most famous, but she's always been the one that was like the cool, calm and collected Braxton. She would kind of calm everybody else down. Um and like I said, I've never seen her jump up at anybody, any of her sisters. I've never seen her get so upset. Um so I don't know what's going on, but I'm definitely going to be tuned in, when their show comes back. But let's go ahead and take a listen. This is for fair use. Okay, I'm going to interject in between this clip from WeTV so it doesn't get dinged, but it's for fair use, for teaching, research, dissemination, and entertainment. So let's go ahead and get into this clip real quick. It's not that long. Oh.
What we were told is you didn't want to film with us. Well, you already know why I want to film with y'all. Wait a minute, hold on. My niece Ashley, who we love very much, posted her videos on social media with some accusations about her family. My family was a little surprised.
Let me just interject really quickly. One thing I was really disappointed about when Ashley first came to social media to tell her story was that and I don't know if she just failed to mention it, but I feel like it's a very important piece of information. Her father did not protect her and even took it a step further. I think he sent Ashley a cease and desist letter as well, if I'm not mistaken. And my thing is, if this has traumatized her to the point where she's still talking about it 16 years later after it happened, because she's 32 now, or at least when she made the video, she was 32. And she said, that it happened when she was 16. Then if you guys aren't going to, invest in her therapy or help her to get past it, at the very least, you should allow her to be able to speak her truth. And even if you don't allow her, she's a 32-year-old woman, so she has every right to tell her story. But it really bothered me, the fact that, her father, Michael, didn't step up and didn't protect her, didn't step to whoever, his brother-in-law at the time came at his daughter inappropriately. Like, that's your job as a father. So that was something that really bothered me. Hold on, let me. Oh, I don't know what's going. Oh, hold on. All right, I had to start it over. It's less than 2 minutes, so hopefully it should be okay for fair use. Oh my gosh.
Told us you didn't want to film with us. Well, you already know why I want to film with y'all. Hold on. My niece Ashley, who we love very much, posted her videos on social media with some accusations about her family. My family was a little surprised. Well, there was a lot going on the internet. Tamar announced that she would be interviewing our niece Ashley on Tamar's podcast. I didn't think it was a good idea. I am getting Ashley. You're not going to make me feel bad about that. I wanted her to come to a safe place to tell her story. And all of this happened right before we started shooting season 2 of the Braxtons. Next thing I know, y'all tried to shut down my entire business. Don't say y'all. Sending a cease and desist is shutting down my business. Exhibit B. The cease and desist. I got a cease and desist before Ashley was on my podcast. I didn't even say anything. I was not involved in any way, shape, or form of sending a cease and desist letter. My name was nowhere on it. Nobody wanted to come to my defense. So you're going to sit there and say, Toni Braxton? Toni Braxton. No. Toni Braxton ain't never had your back. I got Toni Braxton. I want to know record. I don't have your back. You didn't have my back. With a heavyweight, don't put me, Tamar. Don't put Toni Braxton. And then when Toni said we need to have her on the show, I told you we need to have Ashley on the show. I never say that. I never said that. She's lying. I could just show her the chitlin circuit, and we shouldn't do it. You say have her on the Braxton show. This is not the form. Who said that? This is not the form. You said that. I don't know. Go there.
Okay, so that's where Toni jumps up. And, like I said, nobody wins when the family feuds. I don't know what's going on with Tamar, who's provoking, half of Atlanta and a piece of Hollywood on the side and some of Miami and, a little bit of New York. But I've never seen Toni jump up like that. What she said was, she said that she thought that the Tamar's podcast, and she should have her on the chillin' circuit. Shout out to the chillin' circuit, first of all, because, that was highlighted in Beyonce's last tour, Cowboy Carter. If you know, you know. But that's how Tyler Perry came up, and he's both of them, Beyonce and Tyler, they're billionaires. So it's money's to be made from the chillin' circuit. So shout out to our roots in Black entertainment. Basically, just real quick, the chillin' circuit was almost like the underground, well, not the Underground Railroad, but the places where Black performers during segregated times could perform, a lot of, juke joints and bootleg houses and hole in the walls, which I still love to this day. I feel like there's nothing better than some food from, especially like a third, fourth generation hole in the wall. Absolutely, sign me up. But anyway, going back to the Braxtons, I feel like, you know, one thing I love about the Braxtons, because you always try to interject some positivity into it, is when they do come together, and they do have their good moments, it's gold, right? When Tamar was singing, about Gabe, which allegedly this is all about. He's the main character, even though he's passed on, rest in peace. But remember when they were at the piano and Tamar was singing, he must have a ding a ling of gold, of gold, of gold, of gold. Like she just went in and Tony was harmonizing beside her, with the piano. Um, I loved it. I loved it. I hate to see them fighting here. I don't know who is, there's what, three sides to the truth, they say. There's, Tamar's side, Tony's side, and the real truth somewhere in the middle. Maybe there was a miscommunication or some kind of information that's been misdirected. I'll tell you what's not miscommunicated is that cease and desist letter. So Tamar didn't say who it was from, but Trina cleared her name. So I'm guessing it's probably from Michael, because I feel like that's what Ashley said when she made the social media post. I'm not sure why Tony was so upset, unless Tony was one of the ones who sent it. Um, but she was upset that, Tamar is saying that um, Tony didn't, pave the way, that Tony, didn't have her back, which is what made her jump up. I feel like there's a lot of hurt there, right? Because Tony did her best. Um, if you guys remember way back when she, started her career, she actually took the song that Babyface initially wrote for Anita Baker, Love Should Have Brought You Home Last Night, and that was on the Boomerang soundtrack. And that was her introduction to, um, you know, to stardom, essentially. And that was her breakout song before she created her own record with Another Sad Love Song. That was her first single off her album. But Love Should Have Brought You Home Last Night, introduced the world essentially to Toni Braxton. And we, all fell in love with her sultry voice and her pixie cut. And of course, Babyface is deadly with the pen. Shout out to Face. His pen is immaculate. Um, but yeah, Anita Baker turned down that song. She sang it beautifully. And Anita actually said, that she was glad that Tony took the song and it skyrocketed her career. But when Tony, if you guys like look back at her, earlier videos and stuff, she had Tamar, Tawanda, and Trina, and oftentimes Tracy. I know Tracy, left the group. She had little Kevin and got married to Big Kev. But she had her sisters as her background singers for most of now, almost all of her career. And I mean, Tamar is in her video. What's the one with Robin Givens? Um, he wasn't man enough for me. That's the one. And Tamar is right there, being Tamar. Just, I don't know if Tamar is jealous of Tony's success, because Tamar, I mean, Tony has said, that Tamar has the best voice in the family. Tamar's voice is amazing. Her range is amazing. Where Tony is, I don't know if she would be classified as like a second alto or first tenor. But Tamar's voice, she has a higher range, so she might be like a mezzo soprano or first alto. I think Tamar's a soprano. Anyway, she has an amazing voice, but her personality And like I said in the beginning of this video, her windmilling with everybody. You have to be able to work with people. You don't necessarily have to be likable to everybody. However, right, like with this most recent situation where she said she, woke up in a pool of blood, and the first thing that she did, she didn't call her sisters, she didn't call her dentist in Miami, whoever it was that made a video about her cosmetic surgery, but she didn't call her family and friends. She came straight to social media, and it wound up with a huge thing with Funky Neva. People were speculating, that he did something to her, and it's just like, I mean, I know Cardi B just had her, she just put out her number one album, titled "Am I the Drama?" But Tamar is like her and Cardi, like they love the drama. You know what I'm saying? And for her to upset her oldest sister, who's usually, has the most level head out of the family, it's just like it's crazy. I don't know what is going on with Tamar, and Iyanla came on trying to help the trying to help the family, and Tamar got into it with Iyanla Fancy, and it's not funny. But when Iyanla asked her, she said, "Do you want to do this?" And Tamar said, "Do you?" And then Miss E was yelling and screaming at Tamar. I was like, "Child." And the gag is, I know she's the baby of the family. I'm like, but Tamar, you are not a baby. Tamar is knocking on 50. I think Toni is in her 50s. Like, like at what point are y'all gonna stop? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just imagining them at a nursing home with the shenanigans. You know what I'm saying? Still fighting and windmilling. In their 80s and 90s. No, I'm just playing. Hopefully not. But it's just like Toni did pave the way and introduced um, the world to her sisters, whether Tamar wants to, you know, admit that to herself or not. Now, Tamar's talent, absolutely had people tuned in to, Love and War. That was huge. I wish that instead of always running the social media or, calling Lonnie Love Big Back Cadillac on Nene Leak's show, or, getting into it now with Toni, she can take that, whatever is bent up inside of her, and if she's not going to take it to a therapist couch, take it to the studio, like Cardi B. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least monetize the drama. And I know she's doing that here on the show, but not I don't want to say exploiting her niece, because she wouldn't necessarily be exploiting her niece on her podcast, because Ashley, like I said, one, she's in her 30s, and two, she made her own social media videos about the explicit text that she received from her aunt's husband. However, um I would just love to see her, use her creative genius in better ways, like just a better outlet for that pain. I feel, and this is just my theory, hear me out. I feel like, Tamar, one, she was triggered by Ashley's story because of what she has spoken on, her own essay when she was younger, and that she was largely unprotected. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why she is, she may be spiraling a bit, and why she wanted to have her niece, because she said things like, this is a safe space for Ashley. So again, instead of using the World Wide Web as your therapist, that it would be so much better, not necessarily with Iyanla, but with the licensed, credible therapist. Did they have what was her name? Spirit? I can't remember if Spirit was on the Braxton Family Values. I think so. But whatever, look around until you find a therapist that you like. But that would be Tamar's best bet. Because picking fights with Tony and, like I said, half of Atlanta, it just doesn't serve you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not a good look. And I don't know if she's going to continue the project that she was doing, her most recent project with Mendices, and she had Funky in it as well, because I know they've fallen out. So I don't know if she's going to continue down that path or not. But regardless, this is now Tony's your sister, and you know what I mean. Like, that's blood. Like, we already lost Tracy. You guys already lost Tracy. You don't want to be estranged from the rest of the sisters and siblings that you have. And I don't know what is going on with Michael. They may need to, drag him into the therapist's office as well, because if he's sending his own daughter cease and desist letters, it's like, it's bad enough that you didn't have her back when she was, under your roof when she was 16. But there's really, not a lot you can do. One, if it is allegedly Gabe, right? Gabe is passed on. But two, this is actually speaking her truth, her 30 plus, year old truth. Like, what's the cease and desist for? And then they're sending them to Tamar as well. Like, what is going on with all the gag orders? How are you gonna be on a reality show that's supposed to be about your life, and you're trying to put a gag order and a cease and desist on your niece and your sister, whoever it came from, right? Because Tamar didn't specify, but Trina said it didn't come from her. Um, so I don't know if it came from Michael or whoever, but like, at what point are you going to allow people to say what they need to say and heal and move forward? I feel like Tamar, she would not be stuck in the arrested development, so to speak, if she was able to heal that childhood wound and move forward. Let her say what she needs to say, instead of her feeling like so repressed and she has to act out all the time. Let her say what she needs to say. Let Ashley say what she needs to say without fear of, retaliation or retribution from a cease and desist letter, and let her heal. Go see the lady, you know what I mean? Lay down on that couch, let it all out, and move forward. Anyway, I'm looking forward to this season. So it's messy. I hope that, Tamar and Tony can come to some kind of resolution. Because, like I said, they're sisters. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk with you in the next one. Take care, Aces. Bye.